Welcome back to the Corporate Cowboys podcast. My name is Alex. As always, your host. You've got me for the next 30 minutes, which I hope to fill with knowledge and a little bit of experience. Perhaps some cathartic comedy, even if that means I gotta make life a comedy. Well, maybe not life, but other folks' lives. What would a corporate cowboy do, you might ask? Well, approach work like you would life. You have to like what you do. At every point, you have to embrace it. The journey, the struggle, the pain. You want to talk about transmutation, transmuting energy, transmute the pain into something you learn to enjoy. Because it's a corporate war, baby. You're born into this shit. So the sooner you come to terms with that fact, the sooner you can get to work. Our goal really is to attain a state of consummate professionalism. And in that spirit, I'm donating these 30-minute blocks of time as a open office hours of sorts. You know, time is money, time is valuable. Yeah, Alex, we get it. But I want to show that it is possible to be successful in corporate, though you may have to move a little unorthodox, a little unconventionally. And only because we've been conditioned to think that work is unconventional. But life itself is a struggle. Life ain't fair. From the moment you're born, what you think you just get up and walk, go get a hamburger. Nah, you're defenseless. You're defenseless until you learn how to move. And in turn, how to make moves. How to orchestrate moves. You see, now we're getting deeper. Now I'm picking up steam. Yeah, this podcast is, it's served as a form of therapy for myself while I work on my skills organizationally, verbally, mentally, to be able to talk, speak directly without the ums and the ahs and the stuttering. So even if it is coming off a little bit slower, just know that you can speed it up 1.25 or 1.5x. That's totally up to you. But I'm not going to put you to sleep. If anything, I'm going to shake you awake, because that's what a corporate cowboy would do. A corporate cowboy would catch you lacking. Today's question comes from r/career advice. And they're asking, dang, this is a big question. The question itself is bigger than the body. Actually, no, it's just the size. It's the font size, and because it's in bold. Really, it's just the title copy and pasted into the body. Quick, efficient, in and out. I like this question already. All right, they're asking, when it comes to a person's career, okay, when it comes to a person's career, is a person supposed to more or less get from 18 to 30 to establish a career? And then when they are 30 plus, more or less go on to what they are able to establish for themselves to 30? This question is poorly written, but I'm going to try to decipher it for us. And then when they are 30 plus, more or less go on what they were able to establish for themselves to 30. Okay, so they're asking, is this par for the course, or is this statistically correct that individuals get from 18 to 30 to establish a career, And then from 30 on, essentially live off of what they established from 18 to 30. And then they follow it up with, so starting something over 30 is sort of not really normal, question mark. They're asking if you're just getting your career started at 30, your quote unquote career at 30. Is that not normal? Is that not really the norm? My answer to that is, and if you go back, you'll notice that I paused at the first mention of career when it comes to a person's career. The very beginning of the question they asked. And there is an ellipsis there, which I guess prompts a short pause if you are reading. What's the term I'm looking for? Practical reading. No, it's like a rule. It's like a rule in reading where if there is an ellipsis, you do a short pause for effect, right? For emphasis. But to have that ellipsis there, and I wasn't thinking about a person's career. I'm thinking about a person's life. Your life is your career. You are born into corporate. If you have a social security number, you're born into corporate. If you have a registration number, you are born into corporate. If you're born without one, you're going to have to break in one way or another. If you're listening to this, in order to deal with corporate, you'll have to break in. You'll have to, and that sounds aggressive. That sounds offensive, but it's not really. Break in the sense if you want to work with them. You'll have to break in. Not break and enter, but you'll have to make some moves. Maybe you want to get noticed, maybe you don't. But it's not unheard of. It's actually less unusual that people in today's day and age just don't know that they are in corporate and that they belong to certain principalities that have existed since the dawn of time, since people got together in groups to conduct business, which is what a formal organization is. It's getting together formally, agreeing to do business together, and you got yourself a corporation. The basis of a corporation. I mean, today's day and age, corporations got some legal formalities that they have to satisfy and file forms and reports and documents with the state or the federal government, depending at what level it is that you're operating on. But you're born into corporate, whether you know it or not, inside or out. It just depends on how many steps back you want to take to look at things in perspective. You want to re-perspect yourself sometimes. Sometimes when you're reflecting, you want to re-perspect. Yo, I like that. Sometimes when you're reflecting, you also want to reap respect. You want to plan on how you will reap respect. Damn, there is too much wordplay going on in there that I'll have to write that down. But from 18 to 30, yeah, I think in an ideal world, from 18 to 30, I mean, you want to start working if you don't know what you want to do, right? If you don't have your mind set on, I want to go into science. I want to go into mathematics or engineering, something technological, STEM. I want to be a lawyer, a doctor. Is that mathematics or medicine? Medicine, right? You want to work in STEM? Okay. Continue in school. You can make a career off of the hard sciences. Doing your due diligence, nose to the grindstone, steel sharpening steel, days, weeks, months, years on end. It's something you have to plan for. It's something you have to prepare yourself mentally for. Maybe not so much physically as far as excelling, but you can maintain yourself physically active, right? But mentally, that's arduous. That's laborious. What I mean is that that's difficult. It's challenging mentally. Not a lot of people go on to pursue those careers, and some of them actually return later in life. Which brings me to another point. There is no starting over. It's just adjusting. There is no starting over. There is no redo button. There is no easy button either. It's just an adjustment. You're going forward always. It's how time proceeds. And you are necessarily traveling through time. You are traveling with time together. You can't go back. You can't restart at 18. Once you hit 30, what, because you believe you don't have a career made, you can just smack that easy button and go back to 18 and do it over again? That's not possible. But you change. You adapt. With the information that you collect along the way, you inform the decisions you make. If I could go back at 18, but you don't think I'd want to keep the knowledge I have now and make different decisions when I was 18? Of course, but I can't. So any time wasted between 18 and 30, if you want to go back and recoup it, you're not going to effectively. If anything, you'll sacrifice a bit of your 30s, recouping that time, that progress that you think you should have had when you were 18 through 30. It's not a bad thing, but it's not a good thing either. I think that comes down to how people are raised, how people are socialized to think, how people are educated and trained to work, to create, which they're not really, if you think about it. If you go to public school, there's not a whole lot of creating taking place. It's just rote memorization and blunt regurgitation. Which, yeah, can get you trained individuals, but only trained in one thing, and it's trained in the subject or the topic that you train them on. No more and no less. But you teach individuals how to learn, how to yearn for the knowledge, how to crave, how to savor, how to appreciate, enjoy, how to apply, how to extract, distill, and apply knowledge, conceptual knowledge, converting it into practical knowledge. Those kind of skills and abilities are hard to come by in average individuals, and even more difficult to cultivate in below average individuals. What I mean by average and below average, it's just people who lack the spark or ignore the spark that they have because school is boring, because books are retarded, because reading and studying and homework is for fucking nerds. There was a point in my life where I was like that. I mean, early on, I was a fucking bookworm. But then later on, when I guess, flowered or blossomed, grew up, glowed up, as the youngsters say, got a reputation, I got some friends, I got some girls, I knew where to procure, where to get substances that I began to neglect. And it wasn't that I thought studying was for fucking nerds. It wasn't that I thought that, oh, if you raise your hand in class, you're a fucking teacher's pet. Nah. I didn't even have time to judge. I was so caught up in the game. I just neglected my studies. I was cool with the nerds. I was cool with the jocks. I was cool with the stoners, with the rockers. I was cool with everybody. But in doing so, in getting around and shaking hands, introducing myself, getting acquainted to the scene, drugs and alcohol, I wasn't minding my own business. I was in everybody else's. I was like a diet socialite. That's nothing to be proud of. It's nothing to be proud of. I knew I wasn't going to become a celebrity off of it. And yet I was a niche micro, like the lowest bottom of the barrel celebrity where I came from, at least. Which wasn't even a big town, not even a lot of people, but folks knew me, to say the least, right? Folks knew me, folks knew what I was about. They knew that if you were dealing with Alex, you were getting a good deal. If you're dealing with Alex, you weren't just dealing with Alex, but you were working with Alex, shaking hands. I guess I had the markings of a professional early on. Sure, comes with the little bumps, some bumps in the ride, but nothing we couldn't get over, nothing we couldn't get through. But from 18 to 30, I was working on everything except building an empire, except building this quote unquote career, this one career. My career was my experience, and I sold my experience beautifully. From employment to employment where I worked, little by little, I was discovering and revealing the meaning to this life we call corporate, which is to make business better. Right now, that's from a corporate Cowboys perspective. For others, it's going to be having a family and kids, right? But if you're fucking around in corporate and you have a family and kids, and your family and kids get in the way of making business better, honorable, with dignity and integrity, then you have problems, or you will have problems fucking around with corporate Cowboys. And I've seen that time and time and again. Individuals like that tend to confuse their work, their life, with their career. They think It's all separate. They think they're a separate legal entity that they can just turn around and fucking burn people left and right. Why? Because their family is getting fed. Meanwhile, business practices and business ethics are going down the drain. I mean, it sucks when they can't deal with the pushover anymore, you know? Corporate cowboy enters the scene. Corporate cowboy is not getting pushed around. You develop yourself enough, your career begins to take on a more nebulous form, like a consultant almost. People ask for you by name. Get me Alex. Call Alex. I need Alex's help on this. What would a corporate cowboy do? That name. You should insert your name whenever I say corporate cowboys. You want to think like a corporate cowboy. See? You want to think like yourself. And if you can't, it's because you were never taught how to. And that fucking sucks. Maybe you're 18 now and you're about to start. And this is a wake-up call for you. How do I start thinking like myself? How do I start thinking for myself and for everyone else? How do I make business better? Maybe you're already 30 years old and you think, fuck, I've got to make a career change. I'm not satisfied with where I am right now. What can be done? Maybe you're under 18, and if that's the case, I mean, this is rated PG, sometimes R. But maybe you need parental advisory. Maybe you don't have parents to tell you how to think. Maybe your parents just tell you what to think because they're the grown-up in the end. I get it. Well, if anything, they're teaching you patience. Patience. You want to get out of a tight situation? Take a couple steps back and put yourself in someone else's shoes, analyzing your situation. You've got resources, right? Think like a corporate cowboy. You've got resources. You've got time, even if it is limited, even if all these factors are limited because they're not yours directly. You've got resources, you've got time. If you have a roof over your head and food on the table, clothes on your back, like many parents, I'm not going to say all parents, like many parents provide for and say. So you cannot be ungrateful. You cannot be unappreciative of their efforts to keep you alive because at some point in time you were defenseless. You couldn't get up and go to the factory to get paid and then go grocery shopping and buy sandwich supplies to make yourself a sandwich, right? You grew up little by little and your parents helped you out along the way. How much do you owe them for that? Who's to say? right? There comes a point in life where you've got to do a personal evaluation, a little personal accounting, some internal auditing, whereas I specialize in external auditing, funny enough. Organizational auditing, funny enough, as a career consultant, as a professional consultant. But what you should do from 18 to 30 is work in anything. Yeah, I came back to center. I found that I was going off on a tangent. But at 18, you want to start working. That's what I did. If I could have started when I was younger, I would have. Which, I did. But legally, on the payroll, above board, yeah, at 18. At 18, I got my first job. At 18, I was making legal monies. And your experience, at least your professional career, because your lived career, your personal career, starts from when you're 0, right? From the moment you're born. Sometimes your managers, i.e. your parents, sometimes your managers set you up for failure. Sometimes your managers set you up for success. Not all of us can be born in the C-suite, right? But just like many of those born in the C-suite haven't a fucking clue what goes on the ground floor. And so whenever they come out slumming, shall we say, they get caught up and rolled over. There are individuals on the low end that move up to be professionals. And still, these two separate individuals are out of place because of how they were raised. Then you got motherfuckers in the middle who might have been born in either end, might have been born on either extreme, and want to learn, just have a passion for it. Have a passion for the work. They want to be in the midst of the fray. But they don't want to be a manager. Shit, I don't want to be a manager. You might find me stirring the pot, but that's just because motherfuckers got flavor. I like the way my cooking tastes. But I'm definitely not a manager. Yeah, I've managed and I can do it. But I'm in the business of making leaders, of convincing just regular individuals, because everybody's a regular individual, that they could be a leader. Folks come to me with problems. And then you got these problems that I read off to you from Reddit, which, in hindsight, they seem a little basic, right? But everybody's problem is basic to somebody. I don't even think I'm the baddest motherfucker. There's always somebody badder than I am. Somebody bigger, stronger, taller. Where if I can't take them on physically, let's say, then in combination, I'm thinking that I could do so mentally. That's the corporate war in a nutshell. You're not on the battlefield anymore, shelling it out between two kingdoms. Nah, you're shelling it out between two corporations. And sometimes it's not even out of animosity. Sometimes the generals just want to test one another. It's an eye opener. It's an eye opener how frivolous some of this shit can get. I mean, I've seen and done things that I wouldn't necessarily wish on others, but I know when the time comes, and I pray I don't end up old and senile, where my story must end because I am inhibiting innovation, creativity, and beauty, right? If I'm inhibiting honor and integrity, morals and ethics, then yeah, I deserve to go out. From 18 to 30, what was I doing? I was building myself. If I could go back, I mean, you want to know what you should do right now if you are 18? Like I said, start working and keep reading. I know you're a fucking bookworm deep down inside. You've read a couple of pages and you saw images as you were reading. That's called your imagination. And I get that the phone is so tempting and that the doom scrolling is addictive because every new image, every new picture that flashes across your screen is another drop of dopamine. I get it. I understand. But if you're not coming up with these images on your own, if you're just being shown them, then we go back to what I said earlier. You're just being shown what to think and what to accept, what to understand, and not how to do any of that. You're being trained. You're being conditioned. You're being socialized. And it might not even be to your own benefit. You got to look out for yourself in order to look out for others. But, I mean, you get led. Sooner or later, you'll get led. I mean, leaders get led too, right? But they're leaders first before they end. Before they get ended, before they end up getting led. Yeah. A little proof of life. Today is Monday, July 3rd. Have a happy Independence Day, everybody. Catch you next time.